Greetings, and welcome to a journey through the silvery light of our closest celestial companion. For countless generations, the sight of the full moon has captivated the human imagination. It is a universal clock in the sky, a symbol of mystery and romance, a force that governs the tides, and a character in the folklore of every culture on Earth. This is not just a story about a rock in space. It is a story about us and our eternal, profound connection to the lunar presence that illuminates our nights. Today, we will explore the full moon from every angle. We will begin with the hard, fascinating science of what a full moon actually is and how it interacts with our planet. We will then travel back in time, tracing the moon's role in ancient myths, legends, and the very foundations of timekeeping. We will investigate the enduring belief in the lunar effect, the idea that the moon can influence human behavior and biology. We will meet the full moons of every month, each with its own unique name and character. And finally, we will look to the future, to the role the moon will play as humanity takes its next steps into the cosmos. So find a comfortable spot and let's gaze up together at the brilliant, complex, and beautiful reality of the full moon. Let's start with the fundamentals. What exactly is a full moon? Scientifically, a full moon occurs when the Earth is positioned directly between the Sun and the Moon. In this alignment, the side of the Moon facing Earth is fully illuminated by the Sun's rays. We see a perfect, brilliant circle, a reflection of sunlight bouncing off the lunar surface. This doesn't happen every night because the Moon's orbit around the Earth is tilted relative to Earth's orbit around the Sun. This is why we don't get a lunar eclipse every month. A lunar eclipse is a special type of full moon, one where the orbits align so precisely that the Earth casts its shadow directly onto the Moon's surface, often turning it a dramatic coppery red. The Moon's journey around our planet is not a perfect circle, but an ellipse. This means its distance from Earth varies. The point in its orbit where it is closest to Earth is called perigee, and the point where it is farthest is apogee. When a full moon coincides with perigee, we experience what is popularly known as a supermoon. A supermoon can appear up to 14% larger and 30% brighter than a full moon at apogee, which is sometimes called a micromoon. While the difference can be subtle to the naked eye, the supermoon is a breathtaking sight, a powerful reminder of the dynamic nature of our celestial mechanics. The most profound scientific influence of the full moon, and indeed the moon in all its phases, is its gravitational pull on Earth's oceans. This pull creates the tides. During a full moon and a new moon, the Sun, Earth, and Moon are in a straight line, a configuration known as syzygy. This alignment combines the gravitational forces of the Sun and Moon, creating the highest high tides, called spring tides, and the lowest low tides. The term spring here has nothing to do with the season. It comes from the Old English word springen, meaning to leap up. Conversely, when the moon is at a right angle to the Earth and Sun during the first and third quarters, we experience weaker neap tides. The moon's surface, which we see so clearly in its full phase, is a record of violent cosmic history. The bright areas are known as the lunar highlands, ancient crust composed primarily of a rock called a northocite. The dark patches are maria, Latin for seas. These are vast plains of hardened basaltic lava from volcanic eruptions that occurred billions of years ago, triggered by massive asteroid impacts. The full moon offers the best opportunity to observe these features, from the prominent ray system of the crater Tycho in the southern hemisphere to the vast, dark expanse of the ocean of storms. Long before we understood the science of syzygy and a northocite, humanity wove stories around the full moon. It was a god, a goddess, a trickster, a creator, and a destroyer. In ancient Greek mythology, the moon was personified by the goddess Selene, who drove her chariot across the night sky. Her Roman counterpart was Luna, from whom we derive the word lunar. For the Norse, it was the god Mani, chased through the heavens by wolves. In Eastern traditions, the moon holds a place of deep cultural significance. The Chinese Mid-Autumn Festival, also known as the Moon Festival, is a time for family reunions and mooncake offerings to the lunar deity Chang. In Japan, the tradition of tsukimi, or moon viewing, celebrates the beauty of the autumn full moon. Many ancient cultures used the moon as a calendar. A lunar month, the time from one new moon to the next, is approximately 29.5 days. This cycle formed the basis for many early calendars, including the Islamic calendar, which remains purely lunar to this day. The word month itself is etymologically linked to moon. The full moon has also been deeply associated with magic, transformation, and the unconscious. In European folklore, it was believed that a man could transform into a werewolf under the light of a full moon. Witches were said to gather at espats, rituals held during the full moon to draw upon its peak power for spell work and divination. This connection to mystery and the hidden parts of the psyche persists in our language. The term lunatic, though now considered offensive, originates from the Latin lunaticus, meaning moonstruck, reflecting the ancient belief that the moon could cause intermittent insanity. Beyond myth, the moon has been a practical tool. Its light allowed for nocturnal travel, hunting, and farming. It served as a celestial clock and compass for navigators and explorers. The full moon, in its predictable, cyclical return, became a universal symbol of cycles themselves, the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, the ebb and flow of time, and the rhythm of nature. One of the most enduring and debated aspects of the full moon is the so-called lunar effect. This is the theory that the full moon can influence human and animal behavior, leading to increased rates of crime, hospital admissions, psychiatric episodes, and even births. The belief is pervasive. Ask any police officer, nurse, or teacher, and many will swear they see a noticeable uptick in strange or erratic behavior during the full moon. The term lunacy is a direct legacy of this idea, but what does the scientific evidence say? Over the past half-century, numerous statistical studies have been conducted to search for a correlation. Researchers have analyzed data on crime rates, emergency room visits, suicide attempts, sleep patterns, and animal activity. The overwhelming consensus from meta-analysis studies that compile and analyze the results of many previous studies is that there is no significant, statistically valid correlation between the phases of the moon and human behavior or biology. For instance, a comprehensive review published in the journal Psychological Bulletin that examined 37 different studies found no link between the moon and human affairs. Similarly, studies on animal behavior, while showing some minor correlations in specific marine species whose reproductive cycles are tied to tides, have found no evidence for widespread behavioral changes in other animals. So, why does the belief persist so strongly? Psychologists point to several cognitive biases. The first is confirmation bias. If you believe the full moon causes chaos, you are far more likely to notice and remember the busy nights that happen to coincide with the full moon, while forgetting the many chaotic nights that occur during other lunar phases. The second is the concept of apophenia, the human tendency to perceive connections and meaning between unrelated things. Our brains are pattern recognition machines, sometimes too good for our own good, linking two unconnected events simply because they occurred at the same time. While the moon's gravity powerfully moves the oceans, the gravitational pull on an individual human body is infinitesimally small, far less than the pull exerted by the doctor standing next to your hospital bed. The light of the full moon, however, is a different matter. Some recent, though still debated, research suggests that the bright light of a full moon can potentially disrupt sleep patterns, leading to less deep sleep and reduced melatonin production. This minor sleep disruption could, in theory, contribute to irritability or fatigue the next day for some individuals, offering a tiny potential sliver of scientific basis for the age-old legends. One of the most beautiful traditions surrounding the full moon is the practice of naming each one, primarily derived from Native American, colonial American, and other European sources. These names reflect the characteristics of the season and the natural world. Let's take a journey through the year, one moon at a time. January, the wolf moon. Amid the deep cold and snow of midwinter, hungry wolf packs howled outside villages. This moon is also called the ice moon or the old moon. February, the snow moon, typically the month with the heaviest snowfall. It can also be called the hunger moon due to the challenging hunting conditions. March, the worm moon. As the temperature begins to warm, earthworm casts appear in the thawing soil, heralding the return of birds. This is also often the time of the sap moon for tapping maple trees, and it frequently brings the paschal moon, which determines the date of Easter. April, the pink moon. named not for the moon's color, but for the early blooming pink flowers of the wild ground phlox, a widespread spring flower. Other names are the sprouting grass moon or the egg moon, May, the flower moon, for the abundance of blossoms everywhere. This moon is also called the corn planting moon or the milk moon, Yun, the strawberry moon, a universal name among Algonquin tribes, signaling the short season for harvesting ripe strawberries. July, the buck moon. This is when new antlers burst forth from the foreheads of buck deer. It is also often called the thunder moon due to frequent summer storms. August, the sturgeon moon. The large sturgeon fish of the Great Lakes and other major bodies of water were most readily caught during this month. It is also known as the green corn moon or the grain moon. September, the harvest moon. This is the most famous of the named moons. The harvest moon is the full moon closest to the autumn equinox. Its key feature is that the moon rises around sunset for several successive nights, providing farmers with extended light to bring in their harvest. October, the hunter's moon. Following the harvest, the fields are cleared and the leaves begin to fall, making the game easier to see and hunt. This moon also has a prolonged period of moonrise after sunset. November, the beaver moon. This was the time to set beaver traps before the swamps froze to ensure a supply of warm winter furs. It is also called the frost moon. December, the cold moon, for the long dark nights and the grip of winter. It is also known as the long night's moon. Occasionally, a season will have 4 full moons instead of the usual 3. When this happens, the third full moon in that season is called a blue moon. This is the origin of the phrase once in a blue moon, meaning a rare event. A blue moon is not blue in color, though on rare occasions, atmospheric dust from events like volcanic eruptions can give the moon a bluish tint. The full moon is no longer just a symbol or a distant object of study. It is a destination. The Apollo missions of the late 1960s and early 1970s transformed it from a celestial body into a physical place that humans have walked upon. The sight of a full Earth hanging in the black lunar sky is an image that forever changed our perspective on our own planet, a beautiful, fragile blue marble. Today, we are in the midst of a new lunar race. NASA's Artemis program aims to land the first woman and the first person of color on the lunar surface by the mid-2020s, with the goal of establishing a sustainable human presence. This time, we are going to stay. Plans include the Lunar Gateway, a space station that will orbit the moon, and bases on the lunar surface, potentially using the water ice discovered in permanently shadowed craters at the poles. The future full moon will not just be a natural satellite. It will be an outpost. It will be a scientific laboratory for studying the history of the solar system, a testing ground for technologies needed for future missions to Mars, and potentially a source of valuable resources. It may even become a site for tourism. Imagine a future generation celebrating a cold moon not from Earth, but from a pressurized habitat in the Sea of Tranquility, looking up at a brilliant full Earth. From the silent, powerful pull of the tides to the howl of a wolf in a winter's night, from the ancient myths of goddesses to the modern calculations of rocket scientists, from the confirmed science of its formation to the unconfirmed whispers of its influence on our minds, the full moon remains a potent force in human consciousness. It is a bridge between our past and our future. It is a constant in a changing world, a reminder of the vast cosmos of which we are a part. The next time you step outside on a clear night and see that perfect luminous disk hanging in the sky, take a moment, remember the stories, remember the science, remember the astronauts who left their footprints in its dust, and the dreamers who looked to it as a stepping stone to the stars. The full moon is, and will always be, our eternal companion in the cosmic dark.